Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some I Don't Work Here Lady stories, and our first story of the day is by JTLennon. They still haven't figured it out. I worked in bars and restaurants for years. During that time, I developed too many pet peeves to count and left the industry with a huge chip on my shoulder and enough trauma that I still have severe nightmares years later. I miss liking humans. This is the story of how I served a table very badly because they were stupid and crappy, and because I didn't work there. Despite no longer working as a server, I guess I still look like one. I went through a phase where I only owned one pair of black Converse, 2 pairs of black jeans, and 7 black t-shirts. I called it my Batman wardrobe. It made getting dressed in the morning very easy, but it made walking through a restaurant very difficult. With this outfit in mind, I will absolutely concede that in some restaurant settings, I might have been bringing this on myself. But as common as this outfit is among service staff, it certainly isn't what most servers and most restaurants wear. It's also a very normal outfit to see on the street. Most of the time, if I'm just trying to walk to the bathroom and someone at a table tries to order from me, I'll just quickly let them know I don't work there. But one time, I'm tempted to try and justify this by outlining for you the laundry list of crappy behaviors I had already witnessed from this table. In the interest of saving time, I'll just assure you that this table of 6 absolutely knew who their server was and had absolutely been treating her poorly. They were one of those groups where the first guy orders his beer, and by the time the other 5 finally tell the server their orders, the first guy is already complaining that his beer is taking too long, when the server hasn't even left the table side. Yeah, this actually happens a lot. While returning to my table from the bathroom, one of these winners stops me with a, "Hey, get me a crappy beer because I'm an amateur with bad taste." I give him a cheerful, "Sure," and proceed toward my table. Quickly, his repulsive girlfriend pipes up with a whiny, "And I want another one of this," gesturing towards some pink sludge in a cup because, of course, that's her taste in beverages. I decide to stick around and let the whole table place orders with me before returning to my table and waiting for them to notice me sitting there with my friends. I really didn't think this would go on long. I'm seated in plain sight about 2 tables away. They don't notice. Their server is tableside again within moments, and their round is promptly ordered again since they're definitely the type to double order items from different staff. So my prank goes unnoticed. Later, I go to visit the bartender, have a brief chat, and grab a couple drinks. I'm walking back to my table with 2 beers in hand. "Is that mine?" a voice asks as a hand reaches out to snatch it. "Nope," I reply and carry on. My actions had the potential to make life harder for the staff, and I'd feel bad about it if I wasn't friends with all of them and if they hadn't been in on it. This table is so badly behaved and have been determined to have a bad time since before they arrived. They're really a lost cause. Any attempt to clear things up for them wouldn't be worth missing out on the entertainment of messing with them. So I started looking for excuses to innocently walk past their table. I take a few more bathroom visits than I really need and go visit my friend at the bar a couple more times. I never initiate contact with these clowns, but if they take the bait, I'll take the order. They are becoming increasingly agitated and abusive with each encounter. They tell me how bad I am at my job, and I just cheerfully correct them. No, I'm actually really good at my job. They are more infuriated at how unfazed I am at the abuse than at the several drink orders I've failed to bring them. Remember, my friends and I have been seated in plain sight a few feet away drinking and laughing it up all night. Anyhow, they drink 3 rounds despite having ordered about 9 and decide to leave. Naturally, when their bill arrives, they try to contest it, arguing that, "We didn't actually get most of the drinks we ordered, so they shouldn't be on the bill." The manager informs them that the bill represents only the drinks they did receive. They try to argue the point, and I just can't stand to watch my prank escalate too far, so I pipe up. "Your bill represents the drinks you ordered from your server." I don't even have to say it that loudly since I am seated so close to them. They all turn to look at me, and I want to say they realize what's going on, but that's giving them too much credit since one of them immediately lays in with threats to call my boss. I offer them my boss's phone number and dare him to try and get a jeweler to fire their assistant for being bad at table service. He then tries to accuse me of putting items on his bill that shouldn't be there. You know, with the access card I used to log into the point of sale at the restaurant where I am a customer. He still hasn't figured it out. Let me ask you guys, if you saw people being jerks in a restaurant, would you go ahead and try and troll them a little bit like this? Or would you just kind of leave it up to the staff to deal with them? Let me know in the comments down below, because personally, I don't know if I would be bold enough to do that, so let me know your thoughts. Our next story is by LitCandle87. Crazy Karen somehow mistakes 14-year-old for bartender. I was thinking about this yesterday and decided it might be good to post on the sub. Also, this happened a few years ago, so hopefully I remember everything right. My dad used to own an ice rink where we lived. The ice rink had a bar in a pretty big lobby that was really long. Think about 30 feet or 10 meters. I liked to go behind the bar and was allowed to since my dad owned the rink, and I would get lemonade and occasionally get some for my friends too without charging them. One day, I was behind the bar just getting some lemonade like I normally did. While my back was turned to the bar, I heard somebody sort of clearing their throat as if to get my attention. I didn't pay any mind to it, assuming they were trying to get the actual bartender, Mary's, attention. After I finished filling up my lemonade, I turned around and saw this lady. She looked unhappy and I immediately got nervous. I have social anxiety and I tend to clam up around adults I don't know, especially when I was younger. Then this exchange happened.
Excuse me, but I have been trying to order drinks and you have been ignoring me.
Ma'am, I didn't know you were talking to me. I don't work here, I'm only behind the bar because… Karen cutting me off.
I need 2 lemonades, a Sprite, a Budweiser, and a Coors Light.
Ma'am, for the last time, I don't work here. I'm 14. Please go see the actual bartender, Mary, and order your drinks. Karen starting to get mad.
Then why are you behind the bar? Are you trying to steal drinks?
No, ma'am. I've been trying to tell you, my dad… Karen screeching.
Get me whoever is in charge right now. You are behaving absolutely unacceptably and not getting me my drinks.
At this point, I was on the verge of tears. Fortunately, my dad happened to be in his little office near the bar, which was more like a booth, and I could go get him. I told him what happened in a few brief words, and he actually knew who I was talking about. Apparently, he had kicked out the same lady a few weeks before for abusing Mary. My dad stood up and walked over to this woman. He's about 6.5 feet tall and weighs 210 pounds, so he was pretty intimidating. This lady couldn't have been more than 5'2" and maybe 130 pounds, so when my dad walked over to this lady, you could see a little bit of apprehension on this lady's face. She was still trying to maintain her bluster, but I also could tell she didn't want to be anywhere near my dad. Dad says, "Hello, is there a problem?"
Yes, are you the manager here? This bartender is absolutely awful and refusing to serve me drinks.
Ma'am, I am the owner of this building, and that is my daughter. She is 14 and is not a bartender. There happened to be a framed newspaper with my dad on the front cover for buying the ice rink right where we were standing, which Karen saw. The color immediately drained out of her face, but for whatever reason, she still tried to throw a fit.
Well, she should have still served me drinks. I didn't know she was 14.
Karen says something really stupid here.
You should give me free skating passes for my trouble.
How Karen didn't know I wasn't a bartender is a mystery to me. I was a little bit tall for my age, around 5'6", but the oldest you could have mistaken me for was maybe 16. I had freaking braces for crying out loud. My dad was getting pretty angry right now and he was tired of dealing with this lady. Actually, aren't you the lady who got thrown out a few weeks ago for being rude to the actual bartender? Because you have been abusing staff here, you need to leave now or you are banned from the building as well.
But I didn't know. You can't ban me. You have no right.
Actually, I do. Now get out before I either have to remove you myself or leave before I call the police to file a report for harassment. At this point, Karen realized he wasn't actually kidding and thankfully left. My dad made sure I was okay, and I got some more lemonade. Anyways, thanks for reading about my Karen encounter. I hope you like it. I just think that it's really awesome that you had a dad that owned an ice rink, and not only that, but you're able to just get free lemonade anytime. I would probably be there all day, every day. I would think the memories of the ice rink and all that stuff would heavily outweigh all these bad experiences with a Karen or anything else. So at least they have that to look back on. It also helps to have a very imposing figure of a father. And our final story of the day is by Demon Beowulf. Ma'am, how did you even get in here? It's my first time on here, so bear with me, and I think this fits here. This takes place about 8 or so years ago, but I tell this story every so often so it's still fresh to me. I worked as a contract IT consultant. Basically, I worked for an IT group that got contracts to help with IT projects that were too large for the in-house IT department. We were the boots on the ground while they continued day-to-day operations. Most of the time, we worked with a library in a major city that had multiple locations. They would send 1 or 2 of their in-house techs with us to let us in the locations, branches, to show us where stuff was and what was being upgraded or replaced, then let us have at it. I should note that the in-house techs only work on the computers and not for any of the branches themselves, thus they can't check out books or anything else for people. About halfway through this one project, we're going to a branch that was under construction. The outside was being completely redone with scaffolding and tools all over the place. It was surrounded by a chain link fence and several barriers of rope/construction tape to allow workers in but keep the general public out, along with lots of signs posting "Caution Construction." The inside of the building had been painted recently, so there were no tables, no chairs, and the bookshelves were completely empty with thin clear plastic painter's tarp over them. Not a book, computer, or DVD in sight. This will come into play in a bit. Me is me, Craig is the in-house tech, Fred is the construction crew foreman, and OB is Old Bat. Early in the morning, Craig and our 5 techs, including me, showed up to the branch before the construction crews got there. We met outside, then we all went into the building together. Craig had an odd look when we all walked in. To our surprise, there were no computers or furniture to be seen anywhere in the building. Craig, not wanting to tell us to go home, contacted his boss by phone, who said to wait. Maybe it would show up in an hour or so, as sometimes deliveries were late. Plus, if they sent us home, they would have to reschedule this branch and pay us for another day's work to come back. So we waited. Then Fred the foreman showed up, vest, hard hat, and all, along with his crew. Fred talked to Craig, saying he told the library contact that the furniture wasn't finished yet and maybe it would be done by today, but he'd get a couple guys right on it. Another call to the boss. Wait some more, maybe they'll be quick. Okay, but still no computers. While Craig is on the phone and before Fred walks off, Fred says, "Let Craig and your guys know if you need to leave, let me know. I'll get hard hats for you so you can go out the site, since it's the only way in or out." I say, "Okay, cool, thanks Fred. If a delivery truck gets here, it might be our computers. Let us know. If those get here, then we might need them." Fred, with a friendly smile, says, "Yup, no problem." After a couple hours of us just twiddling our thumbs waiting for the furniture and the computers, Craig and I were talking about video games as guys do, and he stops mid-sentence and looks to his left with a face stranger looking than his morning's grimace. I'm sure mine wasn't any better. This little old lady had walked right through the open front doors of the building, walking past all of the outside workers like they weren't even there. I'd have thought she just came from church with the way she was dressed. Dark cotton open front sweater with a white undershirt and shin-length skirt with her gray hair all done up. I'm sure both Craig and me had the same thought of, what the freak? We both walk up to her, conversation as follows. Craig says, ma'am, can I help you? Old Bat gruffly,
Yes, I just want a DVD.
Pointing to the back of the room at an empty bookshelf. Craig says, ma'am, there's nothing back there. This library branch is closed.
Oh, it's fine. I just want a DVD. They're right back there.
Pointing again. Craig says, ma'am, the shelves are empty. Look around. There's nothing here.
Well, you work here.
Pointing a crooked finger and slightly stabbing at his ID badge on a lanyard that has the library logo on it.
So, show me where they're at.
Ma'am, we are IT. We don't work at this branch. We only work on the computers. And this is a general employee badge. Even the administrators have them.
See, you do work here. I want a DVD.
Craig says frankly, none of us work here, ma'am. There isn't even a computer here to check you out. Look, as he gestures to the empty space where the checkout would normally be. There's no furniture, no staff. Didn't you read the multiple signs on the way in? This branch is closed, ma'am. You need to leave.
I know they're back there. I just want a DVD. They're right over there.
Points to the empty shelves again and starts to walk in that direction. Craig puts his arm out to block her path. I say, how did you even get in here, ma'am? There's a construction site out front. There are times when I have perfect timing, as this is the same moment when Fred comes strolling by, waves at us, stops, and then looks at Old Bat. I should mention Fred is about average height but built with thick cable-like arms. Not bulging muscles, but looks like he could carry 250 pounds of anything without worry and could intimidate just about anyone if he needed to. Fred to Craig says, "Is she with you?" Craig says, "No, she just walked in from the street."
I just want a DVD. I know right where they are. I've been here before.
Craig says, "Not in a while you haven't. This branch has been closed for 3 months. Fred in a stern voice says, "Ma'am, how did you get in here? This is an active construction site. You had to pass by at least 2 or 3 of our roped and taped off areas that boldly say, 'Do not cross.' Did you just waltz past all of them? You can't be here."
I just want a DVD and I know they're here.
Fred says, "First off, this building is closed and under construction. Second, no, they don't have any DVDs here. They are all out today. Please follow me, ma'am." She looks like she wants to say more, but Fred puts out his hand towards the door and starts to walk her out. He then grabs a nearby hard hat and puts it on her.
Don't put that on me. I just had my hair done.
Fred puts it on her anyway and walks her out to the street. They walked off the site the way Old Bat had come in. They passed by the barriers that looked partially taken down or just knocked over. Fred's face went from stern to sour in about half a second when he saw them. By the time they walked out the building's doors, I couldn't hear the conversations Fred and Old Bat had, but the large windows on the side of the building gave me a prime view of the entire chain of events. Old Bat and Fred started having a long and argumentative conversation just outside the chain fence. They were apparently loud enough that the cops from the precinct across the street came over to see what was the matter. She was yelling and pointing at Fred, the building, and then at the cops. Fred looked like he was explaining the situation, pointing to the construction and the multiple "do not cross" tape and signs she had taken down on her trek in. 5 minutes later, Old Bat is being walked over to the precinct when she turns around about halfway there and gives Fred the finger. The cop lightly puts his hand on her back and gently but firmly turns her back around and into the precinct. About 30 minutes later, we were sent home. A month later, I saw Craig at another location. He said he found out that Old Bat was arrested for trespassing and was banned from any library branch for a year. I've said this many times during my tenure as one of their consultants. How do you come to the library and not read the closed signs? OP clarified that they seemed completely lucid and aware and fully capable of controlling themselves and rational thought, so it wasn't any kind of dementia-type concern. It was just a clueless lady who couldn't read the room or, in this case, the signs. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So, which of these stories was your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing and turn notifications on if you haven't so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Any little thing that you do helps the channel grow so much more. Whether it's commenting, subscribing, or just watching the video, thank you all so very much for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all next time, right here on the Storytime channel.